What is up? What is up, everybody? It is me, Mike Vanderpool, and I'm here today, the Make It Happen podcast. I have a very special guest, Marcus Harrison from WGTE, and I'm assuming a whole bunch of other cool things.
I try.
The Make It Happen podcast, we talk to cool people doing cool things in Northwest Ohio and beyond. What's awesome is that I think you're also telling some stories of cool people doing cool things in the region. So excited to learn more about you, what you have going on at WGTE now, and a little bit about what the future might be. So
absolutely.
Appreciate you having me here.
Thank you for having me here. And thank you for thinking that I'm cool enough to be here.
Well,
I appreciate that.
I don't want to, don't take this the wrong way, but I think Richie Cunningham is cooler than Fonzie. So,
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Right on. Yeah. And, cool is a relative term. It's, you listen to some of the podcasts that WGTE has, some of the broadcast stuff. Like, there's just a ton of people doing things.
It is.
And I think it was Steve Martin who said, we don't have like these mass niches anymore, right? Or this mass market of everybody kind of focused on one or two or three things.
Right.
We have all these pockets of different people who think, anime is cool, video games are cool, romance novels are cool, and they all are able to, with the world the way it's designed today, to find their space, have their stories. You and I are just people that hopefully are helping
to push their narrative.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with, I think the way that a lot of things are set up now is that, just like you said, we can have niches. You can have niche markets that succeed. And I think that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of technology and where we are right now. So you can have people that I'm only the Hot Wheels. And you can have somebody totally successful just doing that. It's kind of crazy, but at the same time, it's a beautiful thing.
Lets people be who they want to be, for the most part, right? So you mentioned kind of like, technology helping us do this. Our field of video production has been one that has been impacted by technology pretty hot and heavy, right? What'd you shoot your first video on?
Oh my God. Let me see. My first was probably, when I was younger. I remember my parents having a VHS.
Okay.
Like a camcorder, you put the VHS tapes in there. I think when I first started WGT, actually it's my second tour. So I started there. That's where I started my career back in 2004, 2005. We were shooting on M2.
I don't even know what that is.
Right. He's like, what is that? I can't describe what it is. It kind of looked like a VHS tape, but it was like probably about the same size, maybe just a little bit smaller, but big camcorders you putting on your shoulder. Carrying them out and stuff like that. So that's what I started shooting on. Then, of course, things just kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller to now, you got SDs, micro SDs. And
just look at that camera right there. The little not that one, but that one right there. It's like that big.
Exactly.
And you can pan, tilt, zoom out with that freaking
man.
2-inch camera.
It really is nuts. We're starting a show. I know you're probably familiar with the 419.
Yes.
So we brought them, they're starting out January 5th. We're in pre-production and production and stuff right now, but that's a show that we brought to WGT. And the reason I'm bringing that up is, there's no cameraman. Like we have these automated, cameras that, from the TriCaster, you can just zoom, tilt, pan. And I'm just like, is this really where we are? This is where we are.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's kind of crazy when you think about it, how productions used to take so many people.
Yeah. And
now it's like you can do a production like that, 3-camera production with, 2 or 3 people.
And video production is expensive, man.
Yes.
With the people and all the everything, like being able to leverage technology here, people might be, oh, you're taking jobs. It's like, no, we're just making more opportunity for other people to do their things, because back in the day, to try to make a movie or to try to do anything, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars to even try to do something.
Easily.
So yeah, the technology being from film to VHS to DVDs to digital to now cameras doing 4K, 8K.
Some cameras you don't even need a medium. You can save it in the cloud. Which is nuts.
Yeah, directly to.
Yeah, that's nuts to even think about. But it is what it is.
But it keeps us young, right?
Absolutely.
Hey folks, thank you for checking out the podcast. We're going to take a quick break to thank one of our sponsors, because around here in Northwest Ohio, we believe in hard work, but we also know work shouldn't be harder than it has to be. Let me tell you about a local AI consulting and implementation team, Actual Reality Technologies. If you're a business owner who hates spending nights and weekends buried in spreadsheets, reports, and paperwork that should already be done, or if your people are stuck doing the same repetitive tasks over and over instead of focusing on the work that actually moves the business forward, that's where Actual Reality Technologies comes in. They build smart systems that automate your processes, monitor your operations, and surface answers without adding more work to your team. And they're doing it right here in Toledo, building technology in and for Northwest Ohio, helping local businesses run safer, smoother, and smarter. So if you've got processes you want to automate, the problems you need solved, give them a call. Actual Reality Technologies, helping our community work smarter. You can hit them up at www.actualreality.tech. Let's get back to the Make It Happen podcast. I'm assuming some of your love of video, since it sounds like you started kind of early, came from when you were younger. Where did that come from?
You know what? It's interesting. I had to talk to Maumee Valley Country Day. I went out to speak to them, to a class for their career day. And I was explaining to them, it was kind of even enlightening for me to realize where that came from inside of me, and I've always been a writer. My mom saved this book that I wrote in second grade, so I've always had this writing ability, and I've always been a visual learner, and I prefer to explain things visually. It's easier for people, and is at least me, to understand if I can see something visually, how something is put together or taken apart or whatnot, so I think I just kind of put those things together. I remember being in college, and I started out as a finance major, which is crazy, to think about that now.
Show business.
Yeah. I mean, you got to know some business, and I remember going to school. I went to BGSU, go Falcons, told my parents I was going to be a finance major. And I remember thinking, like, that sounds good. Yeah, I'm a finance major, And man, I got into finance and I was like, this is not me. This is not me at all. Like, I remember, going through econ, accounting, all these classes. I was doing good, but I'm just like, it's
not going to get you out of bed every day. Right?
This is not what I need to be doing. So I came back to my apartment one day, and my roommate and friend of his that were both in the same major, they were TCOM majors, telecommunications majors. And they're just laughing and laughing. They were like, yeah, we're working on this project. I'm like, what are y'all laughing at? What is so funny? I'm over here dealing with accounting. What is so funny? And they're like, we're writing this commercial, and oh my God, it's hilarious. I got involved in it, and I'm like helping them write stuff. And this is what I need to be doing. That, I got that realization that day.
Very
From
cool.
that day, I never looked back. And I had switched majors, graduated TCOM, had a minor in marketing. I never looked back, man. I worked at WBGU in Bowling Green. I started my career at WGT. That was my first job, 2004, 2005. From there, I went back to WBGU. I was a producer director there. A bunch of documentaries, a bunch of, local programming, all kinds of, PBS shows. It's a PBS affiliate.
Right.
Then I came there and went to Buckeye Broadband. Some of you might have heard of BCAN. So dream job. They literally was like, hired me and said, hey, we want to start Artist Network. We want you to do it. And I'm just like, what?
Very cool.
You want me to create a network? Like, how do you do that? I had to figure it out. And I figured it out. We hired producers. We had locally produced shows. We had a great run. We won 8 Emmys in 8 years, and, never looked back, and that job ended. A lot of us, they pretty much eliminated our department and some other employees that were there, very large company. And, when your number's called, in corporate America. So I ended up in my current job, since this past March, back at WGTE, as a director of marketing, which is crazy because I'm like, I was just here 20 years ago. Like, how did this happen? So, but I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be working and doing meaningful work, and doing things that are moving my community forward, so that's, you asked me literally one question. I literally gave you my whole life.
It's all good, man. That's editing, right? What's the hardest part for you of the video production process, right?
I'm not going to say editing. I think the hardest part for me is figuring out my direction, because there's when I first get into doing a video, like I love interviewing people. I love meeting people. I love talking to people. I love being in new environments. I love pre-production and having an idea of what I want to do. And I think once I get all of that and I get everything, I got all my assets, I got all the video, everything's like recorded. What is my direction? To me, that's the hardest part. Because once I figure it out, I'm gone.
Okay.
Like once I figure out like, this is where I'm going, then I can just take off and just kind of, go down in my little hole and come out when it's done. And everybody's like, oh my God, this is great. And I'm just like, really? You believe that?
Well, and I'm not sure what your approach is like with documentary filmmaking, but the documentarians that I've worked with, and on my own experience, like you sometimes go into it not knowing what the story is going to be.
Absolutely.
And you've got to take like a leap of faith. I'm going to start rolling and see what happens. And then you do find that story.
Absolutely.
That for me, when I'm so tooting my own horn here, Heart of a Lions fan, documentary film about being a Detroit Lions fan.
Mm-hmm.
When I had the main dude I was interviewing talking about his dad taking him to a Thanksgiving Day game at whatever it was, Briggs Stadium or the old Tiger Stadium, whatever it was, and him about to break down crying, reliving that story because his dad didn't remember about the game, but somehow found a way to take him. Right. That moment right there was so freaking cool. I mean, you can't design. I don't think you can design that, right? You just have to navigate in a direction and trust that there's an island out there that's going to have some cool treasure on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, I've had many moments like that, like in my career, where it's just like you get in a situation or you get in a moment and you just mind blown, like, man, did they really say it like exactly how I needed them to say it? Wow. You know, and then it almost brings you to tears when you go back and look at it, if it's something emotional or if it's just something very impactful, you know, so.
That's going to have a difference, right? We're going to mean something to somebody else. I think that's what we do as storytellers, right? Yep. We see something like this is super cool. You should care about this somehow, some way. Having other people feel what we feel in the moment, making something is what I think we as creators do, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's all about impact. You know, I think as creators, it's when somebody can say something that you did had an impact on them, to me, that's the bottom line. You know, that's what I'm looking for, you know, because I created it for it to have an impact, you know, and that's why I'm even doing, you know, what I'm doing.
So what is your story, you think, like if you could say, hey, Mike, go watch this one thing because this one thing that we did, that I did or was involved in had that kind of impact, what would you pick?
Good question. So when I was at WBGU, I did a series of documentaries, and it was all about heroin and pills and opiate addiction. That was probably the most impactful thing that I've done. That really impacted me, impacted a lot of people. You know, we had WBGU, for those who don't know, you know, we employ a lot of students that go to BGSU. So a lot of them were able to be part of this, you know, production process, able to learn. In order for me to really do this documentary, I needed to go all the way in. And when I say all the way in, I'm just going to keep it 100. Like, I had to get somebody shooting up, you know? So I started to join Facebook groups and different groups and trying to let people know the projects, you know, that I'm working on. Would anybody be interested in doing something like this on camera? Wow. You know? And lo and behold, a guy came forward. He's like, yeah, absolutely. You know, and he's like, just don't show my face or whatever. Cool. No problem. You know, and I took 3 or 4 students and we went down to, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, man, this is kind of crazy. But we went to this guy's house, very nice guy, went to his house. I remember him reaching out a couple of days before, like confirming the time that we were coming, because he's like, you got to make sure you come at this time because I need to get high. You know, for those who don't know, addicts, you know, they get drug sick, you know, so he was like, I'm very drug sick right now. I'm waiting on you to come. So, you know, so I make sure I'm available. So we go to this guy's house and, you know, he brings us in, we go out, we set up the camera, stuff like that. And right there, he shoots up. Oh, dude. Then we went to go do his interview.
Oh, wow.
Like after that. And I'm like, wait, what? Because anybody who knows anything about addiction is like, they have to get high to be normal, you know? So then we went and set up, you know, set up his, you know, interview and did that. And I'm just, whole time in my mind, I'm thinking like, dude, you just shot up. Like, but he was totally fine, just talking just like we're talking now, you know. But that was a hugely impactful experience for me, for the students that I was with, that I brought along with me. And I think, you know, just that documentary series, it was a series of documentaries. I think it meant a lot to a lot of people. You know, I think I won some kind of award for that. I want to say one of them got nominated for Emmy. Just overall, what that meant to the community, that was definitely probably the most impactful thing I think I've done.
Very cool.
You know?
Yeah, because I mean the drug issue is
It was bad.
Yeah.
And especially at that time, had to be 2005, 6, 7, something like that.
Yeah, that was when I think Monroe was kind of the drug capital of Southeast Michigan, and Toledo obviously had its own issues.
No, not 2005, 6, 7. It had to be 2010, between 10 and 15, something like that, somewhere in that area.
Yeah, because it was heroin and not the fentanyl that we're talking about now, but similar stories, I would imagine. But in your role right now as the marketing director, obviously marketing is about, telling the story of what your WGT is doing.
Sure.
So you're out and about. That's where I see you kind of hanging up and cool stuff. You did you were the moderator at an event at Toll House, which was awesome. How much impact are you getting on the creative day to day? Are you still getting to?
I think I still get to have impact. WGT is a great place filled with employees that are motivated about what we do. The good thing about that is it's a small organization. We only have like 31 employees with mighty impact, great impact here in the community. And I can still incorporate things that I'm doing outside of my job into my job. Like for instance, coming here, talking to you today, I could just be talking about myself, but why not talk about WGT? You know about WGT. I'm part of we should talk about that too. So anything, I serve the things I do civically here in the community. I do a lot of things civically, in the community. And, I serve on a number of boards, a number of, groups and coalitions and things like that. So that keeps me very active, but I can bring WGT with me in all of those things, so. Yeah.
Did I ask where you're from yet?
Yeah.
So did we get that?
We just totally skipped that. Well, the good thing is I'm a Toledoan. Born and bred, man. Born and bred. Grew up here. I tell some people it's interesting that I have managed to be in broadcast television in Northwest Ohio for all this time, for, over 25 years, which is crazy. I've managed to survive, and I've never worked in news. Most people are like, oh yeah, I did a stint at 13 or 11 or never worked in news before. Like I've just, I consider myself very lucky, because a lot of people have to go to Chicago or go to LA or New York or just a different market,
Well, I think news tells kind of like snippets.
Sure.
But if you're a storyteller, and I think what WGT and what public broadcasting allows you to do is you're telling the longer form.
Absolutely. The full story.
Yeah. You can go deeper, right?
Absolutely.
As a kid, what do you think your experience like growing up here in Toledo had an impact or helped form how you interact now and present Toledo/Northwest Ohio?
Good question. I mean, as a kid, I was active. Were you an athlete?
You look like you should tackle somebody.
Yeah. Definitely played, football, baseball. I was into tennis for a long time too.
Nice.
Golf. I can play just about anything. Table tennis. Yeah, I caddied over Inverness. So in between rounds, we would be playing table tennis. I got to be like real good. I'm like out there like eating a sandwich in this hand and, got to be like excellent in table tennis. Pool,
So good at hand-eye coordination, which makes sense if you.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that all makes sense now.
See the angles.
Yeah, for sure.
Right on.
But, like I said, I'm a Toledoan through and through, man. So I, went to Old Orchard Elementary, DeVoe Junior High. I went to St. John's, class of 96. Went to BGSU for college, got 2 degrees from there. And I've never left Northwest Ohio, man. So I am, I will fight somebody about Toledo.
Right out.
Seriously. So,
Yet you still went to BG.
I know. But that's the most Toledo thing I could do. Go to VG.
Right on.
No, but I taught at UT, so there's no love lost there.
Right on.
Taught at BG and UT at different parts of my career as an adjunct instructor. But yeah, man, Toledo to me has always been home. And obviously it is home, but I'm saying like I've seen Toledo grow in so many ways. It always seems like Toledo is just like right there on the verge of something big, which I think keeps like pulling us back, and there are big things that have happened over the years, like the Metro Park system,
beautiful.
Top in the country. Our museum, top in the country. You know what I mean?
Our art scene in general is pretty fascinating.
I mean, the arts in Northwest Ohio, super vibrant.
The jazz, the number of places that have jazz going on in the city that if you don't know, you're missing out because there's some in Maumee Bay, whatever they've got going on there, what Will's got going on at Toll House. There are things to do in Toledo if you're looking for things to do.
If you're looking for things to do, there are things to do. I mean, just last weekend, I'm like, or no, was that last weekend? Was that last weekend? Yeah. Where you at the mixer?
Yes. The AAF. American
there were like 3 or 4 things that night that I'm like, I can be at 3 or 4 things tonight easily. Obviously, I need to be at that though, because I'm currently vice president of press club. I'm like, I probably should be here, but like, just to have that problem, that's a good problem.
Well, especially the size of Toledo, you could probably get to 2 or 3 without too much trouble, right?
Easily.
Awesome.
Easily,
awesome.
But Toledo always has a special place in my heart. Because of that, I'm moved to be part of, the scene, part of what's happening, the change, the changing of hands in terms of leadership and different things, being involved civically, but also reaching back and grabbing the next generation and saying, hey, this is how you do video production. This is how you do this. And, being a mentor, for a lot of people, I find myself doing that a lot too.
We were talking about like your pride for, I think that's what it is, right? Your pride for Toledo makes you want to show out Toledo, right? And then also being able to bring up this next generation, because that's it, right? At some point, we just want to sit back and watch the cool stuff, not necessarily be involved in.
Absolutely.
It's a grind.
It is a
video production is a young person's game, right?
Yes, it is.
What was really cool for me is I came to the podcast event that you had last year.
Yes. Yep.
At the station. And we'll talk about the podcast. Things are going on with Chris Pfeiffer. Correct. One of my former students from BG was there, Nathan.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that was just awesome to see.
Nathan came through WBGU,
yep.
So like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it's all connected. Like, he was one of our students at WBGU, and I'm watching him do all these things, and I'm like, dude, I remember when you came in and we taught you this stuff, But that's a beautiful thing to see. And you can kind of see like, this next generation coming up right behind you.
And as, people who care about Toledo, Northwest Ohio, right? For me, it's opportunity for young people, young creatives. If we have that, if the people that we're teaching, mentoring can find jobs here in the spaces they want to be in, that's where we win.
Yeah.
That's where the future of Toledo, Northwest Ohio wins. So appreciate all of the things that you're doing to help make that happen in that space.
That's my duty, to do that. Somebody opened the door for me. And I would be crazy to not hold that door open for people coming behind me.
And that is what's so wild. And I don't want to make this about me, but my voyage into this video space was I went to Oakland University up in Rochester Hills. They had a student video club. There was a sign on a poster, or whatever, piece of paper on the wall. I'm going to check that out. I thought it was maybe watching movies or something. Right. I walk into the location and it's a legitimate TV studio. And it was just, the door was open. Everything was open. You were just able to go in, but there was somebody in there willing to show you.
Yeah.
They thought it was cool. Hey, check this out. Let's make cool things. And I think that's what's really awesome about this video media production space. I think kids are inspired or interested in it. So we don't have to pull too hard, right?
Right. And another thing is the technology, I feel like, is a lot easier for them to attain and for them to understand, because the reality is you can do everything right in your phone now, with TikTok and CapCut and all.
I still can't edit on one of these things. I can't figure that one out.
It's crazy, but I've done it. You know, in my marketing role, I'm like, okay, we took some pictures of this event. Let me just boom, 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 post, and it's done. I'm just like, wow, and it gets engagement. I'm like, that is crazy, because we're used to, okay, I got my footage. Let me insert the card. Let me download these clips. Let me get everything all set up. Let me get my water. Let me get, and let me edit this thing together. And then I'm gonna export it. And I mean, dude, it happens just like that now, So I think for the new generation coming up, it'll be a little bit easier for them to understand because all the technology is intertwined.
So I think with AI, YouTube's got some AI things right now, and there's other tools that do some AI editing for you. I think it's going to be similar to when film, digital came in.
Yeah.
It became easier for people to make stuff, which is awesome. What does that mean? There's more competition for the eyeballs.
Sure.
We're going to have to up our game as storytellers.
Absolutely.
To be able to separate ourselves from somebody being able to do 5 seconds, have something up.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember Dr. Gene Poor.
Yes.
Yeah. So in my grad program, he was one of my professors. And he said something that is I don't know why, it's just always stuck with me. He always said that technology is the great equalizer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, exactly what you just said, what you're saying right now. And I'm like, it's true. Anybody can do a video now.
Yeah.
You know, it puts everybody on a equal playing field. But, you know, like we've been trained to do video and this type of technology. So there's some things that we know, you know, that are above and beyond what the average person cutting together a video knows.
Yeah, we know the editing stuff that you don't even realize you're seeing, because a good edit is something, you know, that's bad edit, it's not good edit, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. I was just telling somebody that the other day, we were looking at some audio or whatever, and she was like, did you notice this cut? And I was like, I didn't hear anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it's only bad if I heard it. You know, I was explaining that to her, and she's like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
See, and that's what I'm have to do. You know, some of the podcast stuff I do, I'm just doing that as a little bit of a solo mission sometimes, other than Chris Eischen here at the Toledo Tech Lab, helping to make it happen. You know, on the editing side, sometimes I'm like, I wish I could fix all of the things.
Right.
I just.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Nothing's perfect in the video game, I would argue, or even the audio game. So speaking of that though, I want to talk about the podcast stuff, because you brought up earlier the 419, which is, I believe it's Kevin Mullen,
Matt Killam, and Gretchen DeBacker. They have all come together, and they've been doing this for a little while, you know, the 419 podcast, you know, and now we've taken that. Now it's powered by WGTE. So we're helping them get onto our platform, and we're going to make it larger than what it was. So now it's going to be a video show, you know, and we're doing that daily. You know, that's a lot.
You're going to do that show daily?
We're going to do it daily. We're going to do it daily, and you'll be able to, you know, log on to WGTE or go to our YouTube, and you'll be able to watch that every single day, you know, and Gretchen, Matt, and Kevin have done a great job in helping us to plan this out. You know, it's a true team. You know, we've all come together, we've sat in the room, and we're putting our heads together, and we're figuring out what is the best way to do this. It still has to be under the PBS umbrella, so we have to.
So no swearing.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't do it. You know, but
that's why I can't be on there. I slip up on it.
But I mean, I feel good about it. I feel like it's going to be a great thing for not just us, for them, but for the community. You know,
well, and they're so well connected in the places they're playing, right? Kevin being the president of Rotary for as long as he was, right? His relationship with Lords, obviously Matt and what he's doing at the Metro Parks. Like, you've got a great, really hyper connected group that will be able to. I mean, you're doing it daily. I don't think you have a problem finding enough people to talk.
Oh yeah,
to, right?
Yeah, we got plenty of people.
Yeah. Perfect.
So yeah, we're excited about that. We got a bunch of things to be excited about.
But tell me what else is going on.
Yeah, so we're starting something else new that we're starting. And by the way, the 419 starts on January 5th. Something else we starting on the 5th is something called the local thread.
So okay, hold on one second. Yeah. The 5th, when you say it started, is that when you're going to record, or is that when it's going to?
No, you're going to be able to see it. Yeah, on the 5th. So
the 419 and then
the local thread.
The local thread. Okay.
The local thread. So the local thread is something that's I've never seen done before. So it's basically a community news coalition that we're putting together to supplement some of our programming on our radio station, FM 91.3. We are doing this in partnership with Prensa, Toledo Public Schools, Toledo Free Press, Sojourner's Truth, and Jerry Anderson. So they've all come on board. They're giving us an hour of content a week, all five of them.
Okay.
You know, and those are going to be available, you know, wherever you stream podcasts, and they're also going to be available if you listen to FM 91, you know, at 7 to 8, Monday through Friday. So we want to be very intentional about grabbing pockets of the community and being able to connect with those pockets. So, you know, Prensa is going to come in and they're going to, you know, give us an update on the Hispanic community. What's going on in the Hispanic community? Sojourner's Truth. What's going on in the African American community? TPS. Huge. What's going on in our schools, our public school system? So that's the idea of bringing all those voices together. And we're uniting local voices, and we are elevating those voices to bring them on our platform. And we just figured it's a great way for us to connect not only with our members, our supporters, but theirs as well, and vice versa. We're very excited about that.
Well, and that's perfect, because I think that's from, you know, my vantage point and talking to others, that's what we need, right?
Absolutely.
We've got a lot of cool people doing cool things together, and it's not, we can't just live in our isolated bucket.
Absolutely.
Like our tech folks and our design folks and our art folks and our music folks, like we are all in this same ship called Toledo /Northwest Ohio.
Right.
We all should be coming up together. And if somebody else needs some help coming up,
Yeah.
knowing about what's going on and how to get involved with some of these things, or even being inspired by all these different stories and opportunities and seeing people in our communities doing these things.
Yeah.
That's what's going to change the future. I think you and I are both our future forward, right?
I mean, that's what we're doing right now.
Cool.
Collaboration is where it's at, man. I mean, nobody's just got out here and survived just on their own, like, I mean, maybe you can, but I'm saying like collaboration is that's really where it's at. That's where things and content and stuff like that gets very rich.
Yeah. One person can build a building.
Yeah.
Takes a whole bunch of people to build an entire community.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
This is very cool. Oh my goodness. There's so many things. You have, how many podcasts do you have now underneath that umbrella?
Yeah. So Voices Around Us is another thing that you mentioned. So just for those who don't know, Voices Around Us was an initiative that we started with a ARPA grant through the Arts Commission. That was, I think, 2 years ago. It was before I was there, but it's still going on right now. So basically the idea behind that was that we're going to start a bunch of local podcasts. For
this podcast network, right?
Pretty much. Yeah. Podcast network. It's called Voices Around Us. You can check it out, WGTE.org, just search Voices Around Us and you'll see there's 14, 15 podcasts from local people, that have great ideas. I mean, we had a farm workers podcast. We had, people talking about medicine and addiction. We had people talking about, you name
some culture stuff across the board, right?
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Art. We had, people talking.
There's somebody doing history.
Yes. Yeah. We had this. That's what I'm saying. All kinds of different podcasts of people that, just change makers, people that are here in Toledo. I mean, the richest content over my career that I found has come from regular people that are right here around you. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one thing that WGT has always done very well, is tell the stories of the people that live, work, and play right here in this community. They don't have to be this famous person or this person with, that has some celebrity, but just regular people, and that Voices Around Us, all those podcasts are very rich in content.
And all of that stuff you can find, you said WGTE.org.
WGTE.org. There, you can go to our website, you can find anything. Here's another thing about our website a lot of people don't know either. You can watch PBS free, just on our website.
Okay.
Click watch stream, and you can just sit there and watch PBS all day, and you can listen to our radio station just free, just by going to the website.
Nice.
A lot of people are just kind of like, wait, what? Like, I don't need like an app you can get the app. You can download the WGTE app and you can watch stuff on the WGTE app for free, but I think in these days and times, a lot of people are kind of getting used to what's happening, in terms of TV networks and stuff. Everybody's getting, everybody's on their own island, and you got to pay for this. You pay for ESPN, and you got to pay for, so.
And then Monday Night Football last night or this week wasn't on ABC.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, how is it not on ABC?
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
but
next week it will be in the.
Yeah, they all. When it comes to sports, that's a very tricky game.
Well, the licensing part of all this is that could be a 20 podcast in of itself, creative media and like season and
easily
all that. So we'll save that for the next one.
Yes.
I have two more questions, and then if there's anything else you want to talk about, we're down to do that. Mm-hmm. Number one, let's stick here in the video space. Like, if I was like, hey, here's as much money as you need, Marcus, what would you make? Media wise, here's one project.
Yeah, I'm a history buff.
Okay,
I love history. I love local history. Which is probably why I landed at WGTE, because, I really get off on that stuff. Like, I love doing research. I love sitting up and watching local things. Especially if it's some history. I worked on this project when I was out at BCAN for Buckeye Broadband, and it was my baby. It was called Untold. And I would tell local stories of just things that people just didn't know about. For instance, out in Point Place, there was an amusement park right there on the summit, right once you pass, I don't know, right when you get to Point Place, there's like some flags and stuff. Right across the water, there was an amusement park called Willow Beach. And I found this out one day, and I'm just like, what? I couldn't stop thinking about it. I had to do a project on it. But history that's it for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I love history.
Very
so
cool.
Yeah, I would find all kind of local stories. Like for instance, what is this building? What did this building used to be?
Yeah.
Or for like Toll House.
Yeah.
Umbrella Factory. Like, what was that like? I want to see some old pictures.
Was that the Westcott? Was that where Westcott was at? Because that was the umbrella factories
I
here.
don't know exactly, but I'm saying stuff like that.
Yeah.
If we just start talking about it, I would start looking stuff up. I'm like, man, let's just head down to the library. You're like, hold on, Marcus, you're doing too much now.
Sounds like you would do it for free, though. I don't, back up the truck.
I like it, though. I like that kind of stuff that much,
Awesome.
definitely.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, if it's your passion and you love to do it, you're going to do it. And if you find a way to have a career around it,
Sure.
you won, bro.
Absolutely.
You won.
Absolutely.
So last thing I'll ask, second last thing I'll ask, Toledoan, I call them Toledoans. That's the Star Trek nerd in me. You've been here your whole life. If you were to bring somebody from out of town for a day and you wanted to give them the Toledo, Northwest Ohio experience, right? Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and what you do in between. What would you do? And you can only pick one museum or the zoo. You can't pick both. To try to limit it.
Right. I would definitely, art museum would be in there.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, nothing wrong with the zoo. I love my zoo. We can see animals almost anywhere. Not all those animals, but definitely art museum. And that's a great question. I've never thought of anything like that. You ask everybody that?
The people from Toledo, Northwest Ohio, yeah, I try
Right.
to. I remember. So where are you going for breakfast?
Yeah.
You're taking me to breakfast tomorrow.
Sam and Charlie's.
Where's that?
Right on Monroe. Right on Central, actually. Yeah, right on Central, right where Central and Monroe crisscross.
All right.
That's probably where nothing special, but it's some place that my family has always gone. Let me see. For lunch, I know where we're going for dinner. Let me see. Let me think about lunch. Where would we go for lunch? I don't know. Let me come back to that.
What would we do between, breakfast and dinner? We can skip lunch. We can eat on the road. Where are we hanging out after the museum?
I mean, we might have to take in a Mud Hens game.
Okay.
We might have to go golfing. I mean, this is a long day. So we're going to have to hit Ottawa Park. We're going to have to go golfing. I love Ottawa Park. That's where I learned to play golf at. I grew up in that park, like all the time. I grew up in Westmoreland, right by St. Francis. So I love Ottawa Park. Yeah, we go golfing. Let me see what else we go do. Might hit some more metro parks. I've grown to really appreciate what we have in our metro parks. I think it's really, and I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm older and I'm more observant of the gyms that we have in this community and what's really around us, but I've grown to really appreciate our metro parks.
Well, and I think too, as we get more and more of these devices in our face,
Yeah.
sometimes putting them down and just appreciating nature.
Absolutely.
And having the opportunity we have we're downtown right now.
Yeah.
In 5 minutes, we could be walking in some trees and on some paths.
Absolutely.
Pretty cool.
Absolutely.
All right, dinner. Let's do dinner.
Dinner, I have to say hands down. I don't know have you been to Siberia yet?
No. What is it?
Have you been to Siberia? Hey, Siberia's right next to Soup. So,
Okay.
Musa's spot, his second spot, I will have to say, shout out to Musa. Shout out to you, Musa. Siberia's some good food.
Okay.
Like, I didn't consume anything that was questionable. I mean, everything was great. Like, I had good water. Like, everything was, I told Musa that night too. I'm like, I consumed nothing here that was bad. Everything was good. And me and my wife were sharing dishes and stuff. We're just like, oh my God, this is
nice.
Yeah. So that's probably where we would go, to dinner. Nothing against anybody else I know or anything like that. If we had to get some pizza for a late night snack or whatever, it might have to be Gino's.
Go to the bar and then get pizza afterwards.
There you go.
Dino's?
Gino.
Gino, yeah.
Gino's or The Idiot. Those are my top two for pizza.
Village Idiot.
Oh, Village Idiot, yeah. Oh,
Meatball pizza.
Oh my God.
Let's go.
Yeah, you can. I'll take anything from Idiot, literally. But
and then nightlife. Where are we going to get our groove on? Or
we might have to go to Toll House.
Lucille's, you're a jazz fan?
I like jazz. I like jazz. I'm a hole in the wall kind of guy. Though.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm a Wesley's kind of guy.
Okay.
I don't know if have you been to Wesley's?
I have not. You're adding to my list right now. I know what I'm doing this week.
I'm a hole in the wall kind of guy. I like the little spots that people's like, what? There's something going on in here, But yeah, Toll House, Wesley's, the Attic. I used to go down there all the time. Yeah, I think those are a couple good spots to hang out at. And if we need to get some late night, food, we might have to go to the Greasy Spoon on the other side of the river. You ever been there? What is it called? I can't think of the actual name of it. Central Hot Dog.
Central Hot Dog.
Central Hot Dog. If you need to get something greasy at late night, that's the place to go.
Right on.
I'm talking about it's about as big as this room, literally. But
that's a good hot dog then. I can tell you.
That's some good food. Some good food in there. Definitely. Yeah. So
that sounds like a good day.
Hey, that might be one of the best days ever.
Best day ever. The sign behind us. Have you seen the Dean's mural back
Oh,
then.
yes, I have seen that.
Perfect,
Yeah.
perfect. So downtown Toledo, greater Toledo, Northwest Ohio, lots of awesome things happening. Marcus, appreciate you coming on. I do want to give you one last opportunity. Is there anything else that we missed that we should know about you, WG?
Just look for WGT.
Mhm.
Look for us we're coming out swinging. You know, we had an interesting year in 2025. We lost some funding and we saw that as an opportunity to create a new path forward, you know, and that's exactly what we're doing. So the two things I mentioned, the 419 stream and then the local thread, we have documentaries lined up that we're working on right now that are going to be coming out in 2026. We have, you know, grants that we've recently received, you know, so be looking for WGT because we will be seen, you know, and we will be, you know, out here and we're going to be very intentional about how we show up. You know, moving forward, we're going to be celebrating 75 years.
Oh, let's go.
2027. So the road to celebrating that starts now. So yeah, you're going to be seeing a lot of us in 2026 and leading all the way through 2027. You know, we want the community to rally behind us, you know, and I think in a lot of ways, a lot of people already have started to do that. It's very rewarding and it's cool to see that, you know, definitely. So as far as me, I will be seen. I'm always everywhere.
Let's go.
You know, on different boards and panels and leading discussions and all kinds of stuff. I stay involved, man. I stay involved but I love that stuff, you know, and I found it to be very rewarding as well, too, to, you know, for somebody to, you know, I was out at St. John's. My son goes to St. John's and his friend, hey, Mr. Harrison, how are you? How you doing? You doing all right? I always see you on the news talking about, he was like, yeah, I like that. I'm just like, wow, you saw that? Like, you're like 13, you know? And, you know, but to have that kind of reputation, you know, is something that I cherish.
And I think what's wild is, like, you know, especially somebody like you who is a personality that's seen, like, for every one person that says something to you, there's probably at least 100, if not more, that you've had an impact on. So appreciate what you are doing. Toledo, Northwest Ohio, the community of cool people doing cool things. You are a cool person.
I'm a cool person.
Tell them the cool story.
I hope so.
Yeah, for sure. So
thank you for having me on, sir.
Dude, no problem. The pleasure was all mine. And yeah, folks, this is, you know, me, Mike V, Marcus Harrison, WGTE, Make It Happen podcast. Cool people doing cool things in Northwest Ohio. That's what it's all about. Thanks for taking a listen and a watch, and we will see you next time. Be good to each other.